Perimeter fade, fire, miss, rebound. 5 seconds. Crawford, 4, 3 to win it. Good!
Well, it's time for another edition of Where Are They Now? Presented by Pepsi. I'm Tim Roye. We're joined by former Warrior Jamal Crawford, who came to the Warriors in 2008, 2009. But let's get the important stuff going right now. And that is, how are you feeling and how are you and your loved ones handling all this?
I'm feeling great. We're all safe. Obviously, it was an adjustment for us. We were one of the first places, I think, to get hit early in Washington, and my wife is on it. And, you know, we've been quarantining for a while now, and the online school was an adjustment, you know, but my wife got that dialed in, so now they have a schedule and recess, and we got that rolling. But, you know, we really leaned on each other and try to turn it into a positive as far as helping other people, you know, in the area and a bar out that could really use the help, and then just lean on family time. So it's been really good, the positive.
How are your home teaching skills evolving?
Okay, so I have a strength in math, and my wife has everything. I have math and recess dialed in. I'm really good at those. She has the history and the science and everything else.
That's great. That's great. Well, that's good news. Good to hear. Let's, before I talk about your career, because I know you and I, when we meet in passing in some NBA arenas, have had a little discussion about it, but are you done? Are you done, or are you looking to get back into a camp?
No, I would love to play. I mean, I'm in shape and ready to go. I was a little surprised, to be honest with you, that I didn't get any offers this past summer, but I kind of looked around the league a little bit and saw there were some, I thought, very capable vets who didn't get offers. Guys like Shumpert and Corey Brewer, you know, J.R. Smith and Joakim Noah, so many guys who I thought were deserving. So I didn't think it was anything personal. I wasn't bitter about it. I was a little surprised, but I figured when the playoffs rolled around, maybe I'd get a call, and then all this kind of happened. Pandemics. So I'm staying ready and hopeful, but you know, I think either way for me, I've used this time in a positive way as far as being around family, that I haven't been around as much the last year, especially because my family and I are always together. Last year was the first year we were separate when I went to Phoenix the day before the season started. So turned into a positive either way.
19 years.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
19.
Every time, it doesn't really hit me, to be honest with you, until somebody says it. Or, you know, you played 19. I'm like, 19? That sounds ridiculous, right? It's a long time.
It's a great career, you know, to play in the best league in the world and to do it at the level you did it at. But let's start with you coming to the Warriors, and we'll kind of move around a little bit. Okay. 2008, 2009, the Warriors trade Al Harrington. Jamal Crawford comes on board. You were only with us for 54 games, but you made it count. You had one of your 50-plus games, a lot of youth on that team. What do you remember from that year?
How fun it was. We didn't win much, to be honest with you, and I was a little hurt getting traded from New York because I thought at the time, myself and Zach Randolph, we were both averaging over 20-plus points. It was the best start the last 10 years for the Knicks at that time. But then when I came to the Bay, I didn't know what to expect. And the fan love and appreciation, and the city was just, it made it feel like a playoff atmosphere every single night. And to be perfectly honest with you, even when the Clippers and Warriors had the rivalry, and it wasn't, I never looked at it like the fans were like bandwagon fans. So like, no, I saw those fans. They were there when we weren't that good, right? To see that the team you guys had and the team you guys still have, they deserve that because they were there from the start. And I really had a very fond of the Bay. It was the first place I played that was sunny at 8 in the morning when I wake up. So I really enjoyed that team.
Now, there were some characters on that team.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. They definitely were.
Starting with the head coach.
Oh yeah, he was definitely a character. But I liked it though. I liked it because everybody's their own personality. You know what I mean? Stack Jack, Monte, and Corey McGetty, and Goose. You know, just all those guys. A young Marco Bellinelli, Anthony Morrow, C.J. Watson. A lot of good young talent and kind of starting their journeys. Some of those guys. So it was really cool.
Goose, for some of our younger viewers, that's Andres Biedrins.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
the coach was Nelly. You know, it was interesting because when I met you that year and we were talking, and I couldn't believe just how fluid you were offensively. How did you become the scorer that you evolved into?
I think, especially when I was younger, I played with older guys a lot. So I'd be 10 or 11 years old, the youngest guy on the court playing with grown men. And I kind of learned how to play that way. That was, I mean, at that time, we didn't really have trainers. So that was like the best teaching we could get beat up. don't get a foul call, have to make this open shot or they don't pick you up next game. So I kind of learned how to play watching, and my confidence grew. And when I got back in my age group, I was like, well, I've been playing against grown men, so I think I can, hold my own here. So that confidence grew. I just played a lot of basketball, kind of figured out what worked and what didn't work for me, and then try to grow from there. And just worked on my game, fell in love with the game, still stay in love with the game even to this day. So I think love of the game, I was always curious, watching tape, watching players, watching guys that, like you said, that level is the best players in the world. But when I was a kid, I watched them to see who made it look easy, who looked really fluid, and I try to base my game off of that.
When you look at your career and the way you were able to play for so long, were you maybe ahead of the curve and got into the training part a little bit as you got older that allowed you to play for so long?
I think that's part of it. And I think just stay in love with the game. I think when you're in love with it, you're willing to do the ice baths or, all the treatments that it takes, all the different things, cutting out different things from your diet. My wife is actually ahead of me. I used to always drink Capri Sun. She's like, no, water. And I'm like, water? Well, I'm 24. What do you mean water, right? So she kind of was ahead of her, making me whole foods, things of that nature. And then just staying in love with it. I always looked at it like I never took time off from playing, even in the summer. And I looked at it like if you took a job somewhere else for 9 months and you came back to your home in the Bay, the lights may not work as good, the car won't start as fluid, so I just kept the body running, even if it wasn't at the same intensity as a pro level. I just kept it going, so when I went back to that, it was no drop off.
Yeah, I remember my first year with the Warriors, and the first time I really worked with Chris Mullin, the first exhibition game, and I walk in the locker room afterwards, and he's got ice on his elbows, ice on his shoulders, ice in his knees. Yeah. Feet are in an ice bucket. And I said, really? He goes, yes, career longevity is what he said to me.
And the young players, it's funny because the young players like, oh, you're getting old. I'm like, no, this is how you not get old. This is how you get ahead of the curve. Don't wait until something hurts the ice. Do it for prevention.
2008, 2009 with the Warriors. Let's go back to a game in December against Charlotte. And you got 50. And it wasn't the first time you had 50. It was actually the third time you had scored 50. What's it like for you when you get that hot, when you're scoring that easy?
It's an unbelievable feeling because you get so high. You don't even look at the ground to see where you're at. You're not concerned about the defender. You're just like, I'm in range, let it go. It feels good. It honestly feels like you're in the backyard. It feels like you're just having another drill session or in the gym by yourself, feeling like you make 10 shots in a row, 12 shots in a row, 14 shots in a row. And you just get in that rhythm and you just get lost in it. And it's unbelievable. I always say when you score that many points, it's never just the guy scoring, right? You guys, Clay scored 60, right? He took 11 dribbles. So it shows somebody set the screen. Somebody's giving great passes. Coaches running great plays. Everybody's connected and everybody really gets into that moment. The crowd feels you as well, whether a home crowd or a road crowd, so everybody's connected and it's a really cool feeling.
Do you have any memories of that particular 50-point game for you?
I do, actually. I remember that the night before we played Atlanta, and I was awful. I was like 3 for 15, 3 for 17. I couldn't buy a basket. And I remember when we got into Charlotte that night, Coach Nelson was like, hey, no shoot around tomorrow, sleep in, get your rest. And I remember I slept literally all day. Like I literally slept, I got up for breakfast and slept all day. And I just felt like I had a lot of energy. You can kind of tell early. I can really tell if I hit one shot, I think I'm hot anyway. You see, I take some crazy shots. But I really had it going, and then my teammates did a great job finding me. I just got into a rhythm. I just stayed.
It's interesting. You mentioned Clay. So I want your thoughts from afar when you watch Steph Curry and Klay Thompson on the nights where they get that hot. What do you think, and what do you admire about what they do?
You know what? I've played against a lot of great shooters in the course of my career, from the Reggie Millers to the Ray Allens to Tasia to all these great shooters. The difference with those two is it's demoralizing when they make their shots, right? Their three is almost worth 9. It's powerful. It's a powerful weapon they both have and they both possess, and they play so good together. And especially in the Bay and Oracle, it just seems like, a lead that was 5 goes to 25 in a matter of 2 minutes. You guys have seen it over and over and over again. That's special. And those two is demoralizing, especially Steph, because he can, shake around off the dribble and just let it go, start running back before it goes in. Clay is up faking, shoot him in transition, and it's just an unbelievable thing. And those two, I think, with the way the game is, they kind of help change the game. And it's been really fun to watch.
Yeah, that one move he had against, well, I think you were with the Clippers, and you were wearing those powder blue sleeve jerseys, and he's
He
kind
went
of
through the whole
dribbling.
team.
Yeah, he's dribbling around. He backs up, and Steve's all ready to yell at him on the Warrior bench, and then just kind of shrugs his shoulders.
Yeah. That was unbelievable. It's funny because that was actually one of the games I was hurt, so I was actually in LA watching that game. And when he went through the whole maze, right, of guys, I was like, "There's no way he's making this," and he made it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah." So he's been fun to watch for sure. Big fan of his.
You know, it's funny. You were when you scored 50 for the Warriors, you were the fourth player ever to do it for 3 different teams, and Moses Malone was one. But the other 2 guys also have Warrior ties, Bernard King and Wilt Chamberlain. I thought that was kind of cool.
It was really cool, and I'll never forget Raymond. Shout out to Raymond. He actually came up and told me when I was going from the locker room to the bus. He was like, "Hey, you're one of only 4 guys that scored 50 with 4 different teams." When he told me the names, I was just like blown away. And then, just hearing those names is unbelievable.
That's our executive producer, Raymond Ritter, on this Where Are They Now?
The legend, Raymond Ritter.
Let's before we leave the subject of 50-point games, I want to tell people who may not remember this, but it was the last game of 2018, 2019, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 51 for the Suns. You were 39 years and 20 days old, which made you the oldest guy ever to get 50 plus in a game. If that call does not come for Jamal Crawford, that's not a bad way to go out.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So a little backstory to that. I think myself and Kobe were the only 2 guys in year 19 or later to get 25 in 2 straight games. So going into the game, I'm like, man, that would be really cool to get 25, right? It's already like a movie because Dirk's last home game, the whole city's electric. And so I get 25 going into the 4th quarter. So I'm like, oh man. And I went from 25 to 35 within like 3 minutes. And that was the first time I was like, or 25 to 38 within 3 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is a 50-point night. I didn't even think it was enough time to do it off the bench, to be honest with you. You know, and to break Michael Jordan's record as the oldest guy to ever score 50 in the league was just a blessing. And like you said, if that's the last game, what better way to go out?
I think you and Nick Anderson are the only guys to do it off the bench, getting a 50 plus. Might be 40 plus.
Yeah, he got 50. Yeah, he got 50. Yeah.
But the other thing, when I was in getting ready for today, those 4 50-point games, you're 21st, and you're tied with guys like Larry Bird, Tiny Archibald, Bob McAdoo. Yeah. When you were a kid in Seattle, would you ever think your name would be right alongside people like that?
No, you don't even dream of that. I mean, to even play on this level for one day, I was just telling somebody today, like, you can rank me 50,000 to live my dream and play in the NBA. I dreamed about this. I can tell you all about the history of the game. I can tell you so many great players, so many great people that came through the league, and to actually be able to play in the league and live my dream. I didn't think about the records. That stuff just came. I just was thinking about playing the game, and it's been an unbelievable ride.
Now, of course, this is Where Are They Now? I'm Tim Roye along with Jamal Crawford. And you also had the most 4-point plays. And I think you've helped change a rule, because you and I did a quick little segment.
I remember that on the court.
Yeah, where you were showing how you use your legs to draw the foul and the whole bit. And now they've legislated against that. You have changed the game.
See, when they change rules for you, you did something right in your career.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing now, because when I first came into the league, it was more so kind of dumping into the post. You had great post guys like, Shaq and Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett and all those, Karl Malone. And you had those great players. Now it's kind of like towards the guards, so you're seeing that. You're seeing Steph. You're seeing guys like Hart. You're seeing Clay, all the great shooters, Trae Young, be able to get their shot off and get contact. So I think it's really good. It's exciting. Fans really get into it. It's kind of like the Grand Slam in baseball, getting four scores for it. So it's pretty cool.
Let's move to another part, which I want people to know about. And I've talked to a number of players out of Seattle, and I've read a number of articles about young players in Seattle who have benefited from your guidance and your tutelage as you keep tabs on them, make sure they're doing good in school and doing the things the right way. How did this start, And did someone do it for you?
Yeah, how it started, actually, another Oakland native, you guys, Gary Payton, actually started it for me. When I was in high school, he really took me under his wing, along with Doug Christie. Those two in particular were instrumental for me, showing me, how to treat people, showing me the ins and outs of just maturing on the court and off the court. And so for me, I knew it changed my life. And I thought if I could catch a young guy and going through the same thing, hopefully he could do the same for them. And instead of one guy, it just became a whole community. And I did it for everybody, even guys who didn't go to my high school, whatever. Like I don't care about any of that. I want to see them, at least give them the best chance to be successful. So when Gary and Doug did it for me, I said it's my duty to do it for the next person, and just end up, kind of steamrolling. Now we have our own community and everybody looks out for each other.
What are you most proud of in that vein?
What I'm most proud of, to answer in a different way, I thought the coolest thing in the world was making it to the NBA. Once I got to the NBA, I saw the coolest thing in the world was having a positive impact on people, especially kids. So I think being able to use this platform to do something, good with it in a positive way for kids, especially because this is where they're, so into everything, and this is where it kind of sets their foundation. So I think being able to do something positive for kids and hopefully setting their journey was probably the coolest thing.
Now I'm going to give you a chance to boast a little bit. Do you think Seattle's a very underrated basketball town?
Oh, for sure. No, I think per capita, we're up there. Obviously, you have the New Yorks, the Chicagos, the LAs, all the really big cities. But we're up there. I just saw a stat. I think we have maybe the second or third most first-round picks in the last 20 years or something. So, yeah, it's definitely a hotbed. It's pretty cool to see, because when I was coming out, just going Division I was a big thing, right? So for these kids to believe they can go to the NBA or at least have a shot at it is really cool.
Yeah, they have that great pro-am up there in the summertime, which is just fantastic. And it's free for the fans, which is great.
Yeah.
As a guy from Seattle, what was it like? It was great for me because I got in the league when the Sonics were booming, and had to watch those great teams. But the Warriors went up there a couple years ago to close out Kia-Rite with a preseason game. And I thought that was, if there's a preseason game I'm going to remember for my career, that's going to be the one, because that was just, it was a who's who of Seattle basketball.
So I was there, and it was just unbelievable. Some of the Seahawks, the Bobby Wagners, they're star players, right? Cliff Averill, they had never been to a game in Seattle, a basketball game besides Pro-Am. So I'm sitting by them, and they're like, this is what basketball is like in Seattle? I'm like, it's very exciting, right? Obviously, the Seahawks have a great fan base, the Storm, the Sounders, University of Washington, but the Mariners, but the Sonics, when they're going, the whole community, everybody's involved. If you think about the Sonics in '96, going to the finals, we still talk about that team. And we show we have a great fan base. So hopefully at some point, I don't want to see anybody lose their city or their team, but if it's an expansion, hopefully we can be part of that.
Yeah, we're watching, of course, The Last Dance on ESPN. We saw that with the Gary Payton. I think Michael didn't do him too well there, but that's Michael. That's why he was Michael Jordan. So
that's Michael.
But yeah, those were great teams. So much fun to watch. The Payton and Kemp teams. I guess as we start to wrap this up, the Bay Area is, it's a good basketball area as well. Pretty number of guys like Gary Payton you mentioned, and so on and so forth. But if there is a thing, whether it be coming to the Bay as a visiting player or that time you spent with the Warriors in 2008, 2009, is there anything about the Bay that you miss?
Oh yeah, I miss the people, just the energy of the city. It's weird. I don't think I've ever said this publicly. If I had to live one place in the country and it couldn't be Seattle, it would be the Bay. Like, I just loved it. It reminded me of Seattle, just sunny all the time. The people were always nice. It's a mix of things to do. The fan base is incredible. Even having the playoff series with you guys that we had in LA, like, the fan base is incredible. Seeing them now. I actually came to a finals game I covered for ESPN, and I was there game one when Cleveland played you guys. I believe it was that 17 maybe? Okay. I think you guys won 4-1. Is that the one you guys won?
Right.
Yes, 17 or 18, one of those two. And it was just to be back there and talk and still interact with all the fans. I was sitting right in the crowd, so interact with all the fans. It was really, really cool. And the Bay is it's a place, I tell people if they've never been there, they'll love it. right? I even have a couple of kids who went to college in San Francisco, Trey Anderson and Khalil Shabazz. They're both from the University of San Francisco, and I told them they would love it. They're from my high school in Seattle. I said, oh, you guys are gonna love it. It's nothing like it. So yeah, it's a special, special place. And you know, you guys have a chance to stick your chest out a little bit there, just off the place alone.
Well, we hope to see you at the Chase Center when this all calms down and we can get back to whatever the new normal is going to be. I hope you get the call this summer because I know how much you love to play. But as we pointed out earlier, if not, you had one of the best exits ever.
Yeah, thank you so much. And either way, I'm sure I'll make my way down to the Chase Center and definitely soak up being there again. It's an unbelievable place.
Jamal Crawford, you are as great a player as you were. You're even a better human being, and I really mean that. And I thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it, Tim. Anytime. Thank you.